In world cinema, or any sort of cinema, there can hardly be a more important director right now than the Ukrainian filmmaker Sergei Loznitsa, whose 2014 film Maidan was a documentary about the mass demonstration in Kyiv's Independence Square against its pro-Moscow presidency. The key event, the foundation stone for the current invasion outrage. His 2018 movie DONBASS, which won a prize at the Cannes Film Festival, is even more to the point. It is a macabre social realist black comedy in 13 separate scenes about the sinister world of Novorussia, the pro-Russian, pro-Putin separatist heartland of eastern Ukraine, which was the scene of what the West hardly noticed at the time as Ukraine's civil war, albeit a civil war in which Moscow was a major player. Here, a German journalist is pulled over at a roadblock by separatist irregulars, possibly themselves Russian nationals, and things get ugly.
Немец попался! Вальтер!
Что? That's okay, don't
Паспорт.
worry.
Куда едем?
В Донецк едем.
Зачем едете?
Мы по работе, мы журналисты.
Вальтер Михаэль.
Я.
Deutschland.
Фашик, блядь!
Ебать ту Люсю. Фашиста поймали.
Я журналист. Журналист. Окей? Не фашист.
Гитлер капут.
Фашист плохо, очень плохо. Нехорошо. Я журналист. Журналист.
Журналист. Смотри, журналист.
внимательно.
Что эти суки делают? Смотри.
Оттуда делают.
Смотри.
Внимательно смотри.
Бомбят. Мирных людей бомбят.
Дети
Днем
мои в
и
подвале
ночью
сидят.
бомбят. Оттуда прилетает. Дети и наши женщины в подвале сидят. Выйти боятся. Целый день и ночь они бомбят. Представляешь?
Оттуда
Понимаешь?
Очень плохо.
Ты.
Надо бомбить.
Слушай меня. Ты у фашистов был. Ты фашистов видел. Так вот, они бомбят.
Они бомбят, ты понимаешь?
Мирных
Правду напиши.
наших людей бомбят.
Ты журналист, правду напиши.
Правду.
Напиши.
Все, напиши, что видел. Правду напиши.
Верштейсду.
О, пошли. У нас тут жмуры лежат. Хочешь сфоткать?
Пошли.
Идем. Не вчись. Да идем, не жди. Ну, жмуры лежат.
Ладно, хватит прикалываться. Кончай с ним.
Свободен. В машину сел. Может, ты и не фашист, но дед твой по-любому фашистом был.
Germans are invoked by the pro-Russians to bolster their own righteousness. The Nazis that, of course, the Soviet Union battled during the war and from whose clutches they saved Ukraine. But now the Germans are a pretext for any kind of paranoia. The soldier in that clip is pure Putin. Later we see scenes from a chaotic town council, a Potemkin village hospital being made to look as if it's fully supplied with medicines, an army barracks which is corrupt, and a street scene in which a supposed pro-West traitor is tied to a lamppost and subjected to a Nazi-style placard shaming. The time period for this is around 2015, before Volodymyr Zelensky took power in 2019, but much of this movie is eerily applicable and appropriate in ways in which none of us could have predicted. Perhaps we should have predicted it when we saw it in 2018. The opening sequence shows a bunch of actors getting made up in their trailer, apparently for a movie. But no, they are there to stage a fake TV news item, a hoax non-news event showing the supposed bombing of a heavily populated urban area with civilian casualties. The staged event that the roadblock soldiers watch on their phones. A bizarre satirical, or is it fantasy, we assume, of a supposed new post-truth rhetoric. And it has a strange bearing on modern Ukraine, where we know that the president is a former actor and comic who once played the Ukrainian president on TV. But the further twist is that his showbiz background, so far from being suspect or shallow, has become his glory, the underdog who cultivated his political identity through comedy and entertainment and became more authentic than the paranoid bully Putin. Donbass itself is strange, bewildering, upsetting, and now we can see prophetic film. Its disparate scenes, tableau from life in Novorussia, are fragments from what you might call an already exploding bomb of violence, fear and pain. This essential film is available to stream for nothing on YouTube without subtitles. With subtitles, it can be rented on Amazon Prime. Now it's time for a superhero fantasy. It's Batman, or rather, because the definite article has become so important to this franchise, it's The Batman.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
Robert Pattinson reinvents billionaire Bruce Wayne as an elegantly wasted rock star recluse, willowy and dandyish in his black suit, with tendrils of slightly oily black hair falling over his face. But in costume as the Batman, he appears to bulk up 300%, taking on the Riddler, played by Paul Dano in a yucky rubber gimp mask, who in a vengeful Saw-style serial-killing frenzy is murdering Gotham City's corrupt political establishment one by one. Meanwhile, Zoe Kravitz plays Catwoman, who has her own beef with the city's crooked power players, including mob boss Carmine Falcone, played by John Turturro, and his creepy sidekick, Oswald the Penguin Cobblepot, played under heavy prosthesis by Colin Farrell. This is a hugely long, unwieldy, big, dark, murky movie, a film which appears to groan and clang like a piece of industrial machinery. Previous directors like Joel Schumacher and Tim Burton gave us Batman as a kind of stadium rock, but this is the techno approach to Batman, or The Batman, pioneered by Christopher Nolan in his way superior Dark Knight trilogy. And for a while, it is an amazing, if obviously derivative spectacle. But it's wildly overextended, the faux apocalyptic finale is ridiculous, the plot leads nowhere at all, at least partly, of course, because plot strands need to be left untied for the next film. And that absurdity for me sits uneasily with the overwhelming sense of pompous seriousness and darkness which has become so important for this kind of superhero melodrama. But I admit it, I did enjoy Turturro and also Jeffrey Wright as the careworn Commissioner Gordon, and the very stylish Zoe Kravitz, and the vampiric Pattinson himself. On now to this luxuriously sleazy sentimental Bollywood extravaganza about the Mumbai underworld, directed by Sanjay Leela Bhansali and starring Alia Bhatt, inspired by the true story of Gangubai Kathiawadi, who as a teenager in the 1960s was tricked and trafficked into prostitution in Mumbai's Kamathipura red light district, but she rose to become a gang boss madam and, according to legend, campaigner for sex workers' rights.
इज्जत से जीने का, किसी से डरने का नहीं, ना पुलिस से, ना एमएलए से, ना मंत्री से, ना भड़वों से, किसी के बाप से नहीं डरने का। जमीन पे बैठी बहुत अच्छी लग रही है तू, आदत डाल ले, क्योंकि तेरी कुर्सी तो गई।
This story is adapted from a tale in the true crime reportage bestseller Mafia Queens of Mumbai by Hussein Zaidi, and it is probably true that it softens and sentimentalizes the real Gangubai's direct involvement in drugs and violence. But she is not totally softened, and in fact for me it is this streak of schmaltz within the gruesomeness and squalor which gives this film its outrageous energy and extravagance. There is something entertainingly brazen about it, a mad recklessness and brashness to go with the mawkishness. It has some storytelling voltage. Finally, I have to remind you real quick that House of Gucci is out on Blu-ray, a very amusing and OTT film from Ridley Scott that some people were needlessly solemn and po-faced about. And also on Tuesday the 8th of March at 6 p.m, I'm doing an online Zoom talk for that famously polymathic body, the Highgate Literary and Scientific Institution, which will be my miscellaneous thoughts on a miscellaneous selection of film clips, the point of which, of course, is to promote my book, The Films That Made Me, an edited selection of my essays and reviews for The Guardian. Click on the links below to book tickets for that talk and, of course, to buy the book itself. And finally, could you please just get over yourself and subscribe to this YouTube channel and leave a comment to say that you've subscribed. Be seeing you.